Great. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What we're going to cover today is coaching solution for marketers and how we can enhance coaching across professional services marketing. I joined the world of professional services about maybe over 20 years ago from a senior role in large corporates. And I thought it would be an interesting challenge. I haven't been disappointed. Everyone told me that it would be very different. It is. In most large corporates, marketing and sales contact collect all the customer feedback and drive the channels to market, etc. They decide what that process looks like, and they manage that process to a very large extent. They're deciding the overall strategy. As we all know, in professional services, our marketing channels, our sales force are the people who deliver the work, and at the same time they're in the business. Traditionally, they've seen marketing as a service rather than owning the strategic direction, and that creates some real challenges as well as some amazing opportunities. To my mind, that's at the heart of what makes professional services an interesting place for marketers to ply their trade. So Richard and I are going to talk through that challenge. Richard will give you a demonstration of some of the tools that we've been developing, and hopefully we'll get an idea about how we can tackle the coaching challenge for professional services marketers. So the challenge in professional services is that what we were trying to do is build our marketing capacity. We need to help fee earners understand marketing and business development best practice and provide them with the tools and techniques. And we need them to be willing and able to use those tools and techniques. So at our best, it is about coaching and mentoring, not necessarily just about doing. That obviously can be frustrating in some ways, but if we play that role effectively, we can deliver huge value. We can also gain greater respect and have a lot more influence as a function. So that we know that challenge is rising up the agenda for CMOs and marketing leaders. In our recent international benchmark, marketing leaders reported that providing training and support to fee earners was the third most important priority for the coming year. That's up 5%, and it's now behind only improving the client experience and getting client feedback. So this is a really crucial issue that is becoming more and more important within professional services marketing. And we feel that the PM Forum is uniquely well placed to support marketing teams with that challenge. But partly that's because our membership is firm wide, so it's not individual. What that means is the tools that we create are automatically available to everyone in the firm, including fee earners. And of course, within the PM Forum, we've been for many years offering skills training to marketing at all levels. That's been really popular and highly rated. But what we're doing is expanding our training program for more senior marketers. We're going to be creating a coaching academy that will be launched shortly. That will help enhance skills in topics such as advanced coaching and mentoring. And what we're trying to do is develop those professional relationships and personal resilience through workshops led by subject matter experts who've got deep industry knowledge and deep sector experience that they'll bring to that challenge. So I think there'll be enhancements down the road. But what we've always had is mentor match. We've had that ability to match people up. That's a way of marketers getting experience of supporting, not only supporting each other and developing and testing their skills, and is obviously a great way to support others within the marketing community. But what we've also been looking at is the capacity or the systemic issues in firms, and having amazing skills is not in our view enough. Richard and I were discussing the tale of the mechanic who keeps getting training to fix people's cars, but actually the problem is that management isn't organizing the supply chain well enough to get him the parts. I've actually got experience of exactly that problem happening in a large retailer that I worked at many years ago, where exactly that was happening. We as a marketing team, we were sending out masses of marketing materials to our front line to sell products. that we then realized when I set up a program to make managers go out to offices. And what we realized was the product wasn't getting through. They were getting all this bump from head office saying, please sell this, please sell that, put up this poster to sell these things, but they actually didn't have the product available to sell. So actually, the simple fix was get the supply chain right. What we want to try and do with coaching is try and make sure that all of those parts are properly in place. So what we've been doing is looking at the skills development platform, and Richard has been developing new tools to address two capability issues that commonly hold back marketing teams delivering coaching to fee earners. The first issue that we see is there's kind of issues on both sides, we think. The first issue is that you often get suggestions for things that are perceived as irrelevant, and that actually is a major irritant for fee earners. And that's often accompanied by a kind of lack of clarity around the reasons why a playlist is being shared, and also what they should do with it afterwards. So that's kind of one issue on the side of the person providing the coaching, that there's lack of clarity coming to the person they're sending stuff to. And the other issue kind of on the other side is when stuff's sent through, when sort of suggestions are made for things that the coachee should be doing, there's no evaluation, there's no way of being aware of, do the coaches actually do what coachees actually do what they're being asked to do, and are they actually taking the advice that they're being given. So what we've tried to do is look at those two issues and try and address those two issues with a more systemic approach through the skills development platform. So let's look at those two issues. That first one around the relevance of content and the delivery. So the wealth of materials that we have available through the PM Forums back catalog means that whatever the topic, we've got content which can be used to try and address those marketing issues. I think we probably have the world's largest collection of professional services marketing materials, and a host of other materials that support marketers in terms of the challenges they face within professional services. So we have a huge amount of content, and what we've been doing is putting a new frontline friendly label that will enable marketers to quickly identify content that is appropriate to fee earners or those outside of the marketing community. So we think that will help to address that issue around demonstrating the relevance of the material that's being sent through. And then this other issue around, are people actually following through with what they're being asked for? And just to kind of talk about that a little bit more, the issue is often that the person being coached kind of doesn't do what they're asked to do, and then complains because the coach isn't delivering enough value. So you get this kind of double thing going on. And that happens particularly when people are senior, when they've got a person who's a partner, for example, and they have other challenges, and so they're not doing what they're being asked to do. So what happens there is you have this kind of conversations that are characterized by the marketers speaking to the fee earners, who then go away and do nothing. So what we've been creating is a way of keeping notes and sharing a record of the extent to which fee earners are doing what they're being asked to do, and we think that what that will do is two things. The first is to encourage the fee earner to prioritize the activity, because what gets measured gets done. And the second is it provides a way of the coach being able to identify what the issue actually is, and also the managers and others around the individuals that are being coached. So I think I think addressing those two issues will help make it much easier to deliver the coaching role that those in business development typically want to play. when we combine that with our advanced skills training from the new coaching academy, we think that's going to make a really big difference. And if we can step up as a community into this coaching role, I think that will enable us to play a much more active role in the firm strategy. Of course, that's good for firms because they'll get better answers from their marketing team. But I actually think it's also good for us because it actually gives us an opportunity to have a much more fulfilling role within our firms. And to my mind, with the onset of generative AI and new technologies that will enable lawyers, accountants, and other fee earners to create content much more easily and to do a lot of the things that fee earners have traditionally seen as a marketing service. I think this is a really important time for us to step up into that coaching role and so that we can be seen to continue to add value. I hope that gives you a kind of a flavour of why I'm excited about the work that Richard's been doing. But let me hand over to the maestro and the architect of the skills development platform to show you what these solutions look like in practice. Richard, I'll hand over to you.
Well, thanks, Keith. I'm going to be exploring 3 scenarios today. And what I think they're doing is they're going to demonstrate the capabilities of the platform. But let me just share with you, if I may, some common observations, which I'm hearing at some of the private briefings that have been held in recent months with forum members of firms of all sizes. The first one, and I think this is a point that Keith has made, but just to reiterate it, coaching frontline advisors, and I prefer not to use the term fee earners. I think it's very legal focused. Professional service PM forum covers obviously all areas. Coaching frontline advisors in selling, marketing, BD, and comm skills is one of the most important contributions that a marketer can make to the growth, productivity, and prosperity of a professional services firm. The second one, which we haven't mentioned, but I think is actually really important, is relationships. A coaching assignment is as much about the relationship between the coach and the coachee as anything else. So relationships are critical to effective coaching assignments. And then the third thing I'm hearing is that very few firms, as Keith has said, providing that important blend of skills, training, rehearsal, content, curation, and tracking that's needed for effective coaching and mentoring. We could go into the difference between coaching and mentoring. I think we probably don't have time today, but just to say they aren't the same. But for today's, I'm focusing on them because I sense in a funny way that actually for many partners, they see their coach as a reverse mentor that they can get information from. But either under any scenario, what we're actually talking about here, sadly, is suboptimal outcomes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the demo, and we've got about 15 minutes, which is awesome. And I'm going to show you hopefully you can see this, good. And so first of all, let's talk about the first scenario. And this scenario is a departmental relationship. And it's between a marketing director, some of you may be on the Zoom call today, and with tight budgets, and we all know where they are, and a team member who has limited coaching experience, but is eager to coach fee earners to further their career. So there are 5 steps involved, and I'm showing you here a page called Learning Notes. So the first thing, and you hopefully can see it, is that make it a little bit bigger maybe. Oops. Hopefully you can see it now, that there is a note as a learning note that's been put into the system by, in this case, the platform, the manager and the marketing director, and they've just put, there's an excellent forum playlist on the platform called Insights from Coaching Experts. I suggest you evaluate the article so we can use key points to update your coaching goals at next month's performance review. That's not an unusual sort of email that that particular person might get, and they respond, yep, they look great. I'll go and look at them. Okay, I think there are 12 articles in the playlist, so I'll make time to read them over the next week. I'll do a full evaluation on the most interesting ones, and I'll do a partial evaluation on the rest. So how might they actually do that? Well, very simply, they would go to playlist and selection, and they've been told it's a forum playlist. And this is this column here. And they've been told it's one called Insights from Coaching Experts. It's got 12 articles in. So if I click retrieve, all of a sudden we've got 12 articles, and they can then start clicking through and evaluating in a way that we've shown you at the launch a few months ago. I won't go there today because that's, again, something that we know people are already fairly familiar with. But the point here is that the team member just retrieves them and evaluates some of them, let's say. Let's say they don't do all of them, and that wouldn't be unusual. You think, oh, I like that picture. Yeah, I'll go for that one. Great. Okay. Now, what then happens is that the marketing director, or possibly a member of their operations team, if it's a larger firm, will go into the platform, and they will be able to see quite easily all the people in their department, and they'll be able to see fairly quickly which ones have got green bars. In other words, they pass that particular metric. They'll be able to see the engagement score, and they will be able to look at something we call the free flow hours. But remember, this playlist hasn't been shared with this particular team member. So from their point of view, they'll read it and it'll just go into their free flow hours. So you'll be able to say, yeah, you've done so many hours, but it could be on anything they've worked on the platform. They could have read their own things. They could have done that. So there's no real tracking going on at all. But what they could also do, if they're willing to upgrade to Premier Access, which is one of the things we're showing you today, is they could also have a look at the averages, which are coming through. So they could see build. A lot of calculations going on in the background. So they could see, of course, my total for the department is this is the average, this is the firm. So there's some information that will be available through once the firm has a single Premier member, and that's extra dues of £25 a month, that they'll be able to see those averages. So let's put them away. So then we're going back to the learning notes. What the managing marketing director will probably do now, let's select the right member, show you how it all works. It's quite easy. And let's say I will look at the ones. I think I set it up as medium. I was trying to filter it so that, yeah, okay, let's take the second one down. Sorry, the first one, I can't filter it because there's just not enough. I can, but it's not real, as you appreciate. So next performance review. Hope you can find the time to evaluate the playlist items before our review. No comments. So that's not really very helpful, because whilst the MD would like to use the performance review to discuss their activity on the platform and key learnings from the playlist, the reality is there is absolutely no evidence that the team member has evaluated any of the items in that playlist. So that's scenario one. Let's move on to scenario two. This time it's a departmental relationship again. And let's say this time it's between a less financially constrained marketing director, they've got a little bit of budget, and the same team member. So what happens here? Well, the first thing they will need to do, going back to this engagement and outcomes page, but this time we're going down to the bottom of the page. So let's say they will select an individual, doesn't matter who, and then they will upgrade them to Premier membership. They will hit go. And there's various bits and pieces, they will place the order. So let's assume that's all done. That's fairly straightforward, but that means at least the individual is eligible to receive a playlist. Next thing they do, don't have to go any further, they go down here and they say, okay, I'm going to share forum playlists, and they're going to look for the one that we had before. Excuse me. Category, what should we do? Coaching Academy. And vocabulary, level high. Just doesn't really matter. Can't remember. Don't think it's got a category. Frontline friendly. And they will find it and share it. Hit go. Once that's done, the marketing director will send another note. This was the one I think we looked at before. So again, it always clears when you go out of it, which is useful because you don't always want to be there. So we'll go to her. and we will go to go. New playlist shared. So it's got here new, which one were we looking at? Take that one. Okay, this one. New playlist shared through the platform. Please check out your alerts for a new playlist. Can you please aim to complete by next Friday? Any probs, let me know. And the response is should be fine. So the marketing director knows that everything's in a good place. Team member then goes, instead of going into the playlist selection area, they go into the tracking area. And I've set some up here. So these are some playlists which have been shared with me, and I can then look at each of them and I can retrieve them. I can also see which ones I've evaluated, which ones I haven't, by that little icon there, and the fact I've got some points. So that's all quite good. So if I go and retrieve these ones, it will ask me, do I want to show all of them or just the ones I haven't yet evaluated? So there's quite a lot of ability for the, okay, wants me to show the results, fine. So there's quite a lot of opportunity for the, here we go, this is the one that we wanted to see, right? So the team member has retrieved the items in the playlist and evaluates some of them. The marketing director can then go back into their view of the life, platform manager view, and they can start checking out the extent to which this time the individual has got playlist hours, which is this column called shared playlist hours of period. So you're beginning to get a better quick view as to what they've been up to. And then if you actually wanted to then say, let's say I'm doing Claire, for sake of your argument, because that's easy. So I wanted to go through here. I can then say, I want to use, let's get this down. Let me say track shared playlist. So I'll hit go. And I'm now looking here at the shared playlist for Claire. So I can see here quickly, so which one, take those out, shared by members, shared by mentor, shared by management, that'd be me. She hasn't evaluated any of them, whoops. But let's see, has she been doing anything else? Oh, well, yeah, she's done this one I sent her, so let's have a look at that. So which one she's read? She read A Quiet Achiever Gets Vocal. So let's see what she had to say about that particular one. She got 51 points, and she said that it was interesting compared to the roles of marketing in New Zealand and the UK, and interesting consistent strategies, and a whole bunch of other things. So I can kind of very quickly, not even that I know, it's not that I know what she's doing. I actually know what she's been, what her comments are, what her scores are, what her ratings are, how long she took doing it. So there's a huge amount of knowledge that the director can then glean. So when they then send, going back to the learning notes, another one, just reset it again. Go. It's then this one here, which is a medium one. So let's take the lows out. Sorry, I've just got to filter it this way, so at least I can see it for you. Next, performance review. I'm curious why you rated the article by XXX so low. Can we please discuss at your performance review next Wednesday? Now, that's a very different comment than hope you can find the time to evaluate the playlist before our next review. Different world. So what that means is that actually there is perfect knowledge over the extent that the team member has evaluated, and you can actually see the evaluations. So the third final scenario, this one is slightly different. This is where a frontline advisor and the team member who is coaching them. So it's a coaching relationship. And by way of background, the coach knows the frontline advisor is incredibly busy, so anything shared must be totally on message. And the frontline advisor views the exercise as wasting time that could be spent serving clients and is looking for an excuse to disengage. I'm sure none of you are familiar with that scenario, ... This is a longer scenario slightly, but I'll just go through it. And I think some of them I won't need to repeat because we've covered them in the previous one. So first of all, the individual coachee is upgraded to the Premier membership in order for them to be able to receive playlists. And that's, I mentioned, is £10 a month. Now, the coach can now basically do whatever they want. They can actually go to, say, enter a search term here, like coaching. and hit a button. They can search across the platform, and you would be familiar with this. And then they've got 12 articles out of 280. Well, that's far too many. So they can then start filtering in various ways. They can say, I don't want to do the last 5 years, or they can just say, I want the ones that I've highlighted already, which takes us down to 12. And there's all sorts of ways you can filter that. Again, you know all that because this is something that's been around since November. The point really is that you can save that. And then once you feel you've got the playlist that works for this particular individual, might want to clear all of them maybe, and then just go, right, I will populate the builder with 1 and 2. And then we go and save the playlist for 2. And we save the playlist again. This is something that you'll, I'm sure, be familiar with. But the point really here is that not when you're saving that playlist, not only are you saving it, but you're also clarifying the reasons for sharing it. And after consultation, probably with the coach's line manager, whether it's mandatory. Again, that's something you've already got. And that playlist will then appear in their alerts, which is important. So the coach would then probably send, going back to where we came from, a learning. Oops. Go back to learning notes. The coach would then send a learning note to the coachee, and we'll use Claire again just for simplicity, so it's all in one place. But obviously in life it will be a little bit different. And say that a target date for the next coaching session. So we'll open this one up. So we'd say, okay, next coaching session, the main area I wanted to cover was sustainability. Maybe sensible if somebody else comes along. Can we meet in boardroom 2? I'll forward you an ICS file and all the rest. So it's a fairly sort of standard style of, if you like, complicated way to do it. And then those notes are also shared with the coachee's line manager, because at the end of the day, that then means that if the coachee then complains about the coach, then actually there is somebody in the loop who knows what's going on as well. Coachee then retrieves the items, they go through and evaluate some of them. Coach logs into the platform, checks out the extent to which the playlist's been evaluated, checks out the ratings, all the things we looked at, looks at the free flow, looks at the playlist hours, look at all the engagement score of others in the same department. They then send a note confirming the dates, and then they use the coaching session to discuss the key learnings from the playlist with perfect knowledge over the extent that the coachee has evaluated is in the playlist. So I like to think of the platform, to conclude, as the fusion of 2 proverbs. What gets measured gets managed. That is actually Peter Drucker's original quote. And I think in homage to Shane Parrish, good design gives poor practice nowhere to hide. So I'm delighted to announce that Premier Access goes live by the end of next week, at which point member firms will be able to upgrade their people to Premier membership. Also, that those members who registered for today's webinar will receive free Premier membership of the platform for the first month. And if your firm is not currently a member, what a perfect time to join. So let me now head back to Keith. It's actually on the dot. Have you any final thoughts before we close our session?
Well, we've actually got one question which was asked, which was who's inputting the information, and how do you get partners to buy into it? And I think that's clearly an issue for across professional services. I think a lot of the information that Richard's been talking through is actually stuff that's probably going on already, and those sorts of conversations are going on already. So it's actually you're not actually asking partners to do anything more than they would normally do. But the other thing that I think I think I would focus on in terms of if I was looking at the system, is actually using this at key stages. So for example, where you've got senior associates who are on the partnership track, there's obviously a better opportunity. There's an opportunity there to kind of engage them in a way that you might not with a senior partner who is long in the tooth and cynical and difficult to change. So I think what you would use the system for is specific examples where you're trying to really use that coaching role much more actively. And what you would then do is build out from that within the firm. So that would be my thoughts on that. Richard, did you have anything in terms of a sort of response to that question?
I always say go for a few people who are your stronger supporters first. and then get them to start using it and say it's useful when they meet their peers in the partner group.
Yeah. So I think we're probably saying quite similar things. We wouldn't expect you to kind of try and boil the ocean and get every partner on the platform from day one. What you would do is select those places where you think it's going to add the most value, and then try and move from there. And that's also similar. I mean, similar in some ways. The mentor match scheme is a way of delivering that coaching within the marketing community, and then building out from there, using those skills and gaining that experience. So I think hopefully that gives a sense of how we expect this to be used within firms. I mean, I think the opportunity is there for marketing to play a much more active role in coaching, and it's clearly a priority. We're trying to provide some tools that are going to assist with that process, and we're also going to be launching training and other support which will enable marketers to play that more active role. Hopefully that's given you an insight into what the Premier membership can deliver for you. But any final words from you, Richard?
No, other than thanking you, Keith, for your excellent insights at the outset and your vantage point of working very much within the profession to senior level for a number of years, and struggling, I suspect, at times, if not for yourself, but for your team members who would love to be able to do more coaching, but find that the barriers are really a problem.